The conflict between Israel and Hamas is rooted in a complex web of historical grievances, territorial disputes, and political ideologies. For decades, the two sides have been locked in a bitter struggle, marked by periodic eruptions of violence. The Gaza Strip, a densely populated Palestinian territory controlled by Hamas, has been a particular flashpoint. Hamas, considered a terrorist organization by Israel, the United States, and the European Union, is committed to the destruction of Israel and the establishment of an Islamic State in its place. Israel, on the other hand, views Hamas as an existential threat and has implemented a blockade on Gaza, citing security concerns. This cycle of violence has resulted in countless casualties on both sides, with civilians often bearing the brunt of the suffering. The recent conflict, which erupted in May 2023, was one of the deadliest in years, leaving behind a trail of destruction and despair. International efforts to broker a lasting peace agreement have been met with limited success. The deep-seated mistrust and animosity between the two sides continue to pose significant obstacles to a peaceful resolution. After 11 days of intense fighting, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas came into effect on May 21, 2023. The truce, brokered by Egypt and Qatar, brought a fragile halt to the violence that had engulfed the region. Both sides claimed victory, but the underlying issues that sparked the conflict remained unresolved. Egypt, a key mediator in the region, played a pivotal role in facilitating the ceasefire. With its long-standing ties to both Israel and Hamas, Egypt was able to shuttle between the warring parties and secure a cessation of hostilities. Qatar, another influential player in the region, also played a significant role in the negotiations, providing humanitarian aid to Gaza and leveraging its diplomatic clout. The ceasefire was met with relief by the international community, which had been calling for an end to the bloodshed. However, the truce remained precarious, with both sides accusing each other of violating its terms. The situation on the ground remained tense, with the potential for renewed violence looming large. Despite the ceasefire, the path to a lasting peace between Israel and Hamas remains fraught with obstacles. Deep-seated mistrust, conflicting narratives, and the absence of a clear roadmap for negotiations continue to impede progress. The two sides remain divided on a range of critical issues, including the status of Jerusalem, the right of return for Palestinian refugees, and the future of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Hamas demands an end to the Israeli blockade on Gaza, which it views as collective punishment and a major obstacle to economic recovery. Israel, however, insists on maintaining the blockade, citing security concerns and Hamas's refusal to renounce violence. The issue of prisoner exchange also remains a major sticking point, with Hamas demanding the release of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails in exchange for the return of Israeli captives. The international community has called for a resumption of peace talks based on a two-state solution, but the prospects for meaningful negotiations remain dim. The absence of a credible peace process, coupled with the continued expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, fuels Palestinian frustration and undermines hopes for a viable Palestinian state. Section 4. Global Ripple Effects. The world watches and waits. The conflict between Israel and Hamas has far-reaching implications for the Middle East and the wider world. The violence has exacerbated regional tensions, inflamed anti-Semitism, and fueled anti-Muslim sentiment. The conflict has also diverted international attention and resources away from other pressing global challenges. The United States, a staunch ally of Israel, has faced criticism for its handling of the conflict. Some accuse the U.S. of bias towards Israel, while others argue that the U.S. has not done enough to pressure Israel to make concessions. The conflict has also exposed divisions within the international community, with some countries condemning Israel's actions and others expressing support for Israel's right to defend itself. The conflict has also had a significant impact on the global economy. The price of oil, a key commodity, surged during the fighting, raising concerns about inflation and economic instability. The conflict has also disrupted global supply chains and contributed to uncertainty in financial markets. Section 5. A Glimmer of Hope. The Quest for a Peaceful Future. Despite the daunting challenges, the pursuit of peace between Israel and Hamas remains an imperative. The human cost of the conflict, both in terms of lives lost and opportunities squandered, is simply too high to ignore. The international community must remain engaged and continue to work towards a just and lasting solution. A sustainable peace requires addressing the root causes of the conflict, including the occupation, the blockade, and the absence of a viable Palestinian state. It also requires a fundamental shift in mindset, away from violence and towards dialogue and reconciliation. This will require courageous leadership on both sides, as well as the unwavering support of the international community. While the road to peace is long and arduous, the ceasefire offers a glimmer of hope. It is a reminder that even in the midst of conflict, dialogue and diplomacy can prevail. The international community must seize this opportunity to push for a resumption of meaningful negotiations and work towards a future where Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side in peace and security.